begins on Monday. Shefty, let's run the hurry up through some of the news. Yesterday, Max Crosby got big bucks.
The highest paid non-quarterback in football history. And Greeny, this is the start of what's going to be a busy offseason for pass rushers. We think Myles Garrett will get paid. We think TJ Watt will get paid. We think Micah Parsons will get paid. We think Trey Hendrickson will be paid. But yesterday, Max Crosby got paid. All the speculation about him leaving Las Vegas, that's out the window. He's not going anywhere. He's staying on what is now a record deal at this point in time. As for last night, the Los Angeles Chargers made the move to release five-time Pro Bowl pass rusher Joey Bosa. Basically frees up a ton of money against the cap. They were scheduled to pay him a roster bonus next week that they didn't want to. And let's keep in mind here that Joey Bosa is now a free agent, and so is Khalil Mack. So the Chargers' two best pass rushers both are not tied to the team, and we'll see what the Chargers do to replace it. Meanwhile, Dak Prescott restructured his contract, freed up about $36 million in salary cap space for the Cowboys. One day after CD Lamb freed up another $20 million. Cowboys now have $56 million. Cowboys fans out there are waiting to see if they make a big move. Jerry Jones has said they're going to be selectively aggressive. They want to re-sign their own players. They want to pay their draft class. We'll see how it works out. I don't exactly expect a spending spree, but we'll see how they spend it.
Well, let's hear from Jerry. So, again, they've opened up all of this cap space, and Jerry yesterday with reporters, this is what he said about his team's plans for free agency.
I don't think aggressive is the right word. I'm not looking at free agency as a place to fill voids.
Okay. So you don't have any voids, would you
Not
say?
if you include what might work for us in the draft and what we're doing with our own roster relative to who we want to sign.
Oh, good God. So, I mean, he literally just said the words, I do not look at us as having voids, when all we watched an entire season's worth of a team that has obvious gaping voids, right? I mean, there are voids all over the place, perfect places to spend money wisely, selectively, any other way you choose. The draft is one way to fill those holes, but they don't have 9 picks that they're going to be able to plug in as starters. They should be spending this money, and D. Wood, he's telling you right now he's not going to.
See, this would drive a Dallas Cowboys fan. Like, my wife is a Dallas Cowboys fan. It drives her crazy to hear Jerry Jones say stuff like this, because you look in your own division, you see what the Philadelphia Eagles did last offseason to kind of propel them to win, to be a Super Bowl champion. And you look at the Dallas Cowboys, they weren't able to run the ball. They weren't able to stop the run. And so you can't count on just draft picks coming in and filling everything. You need to supplement the guys that you draft, which, oh, by the way, the Dallas Cowboys do a very good job of drafting and developing, but you still need to go in the dip in the free agency and sign guys to plug some holes. So to hear Jerry Jones say stuff like that, it makes you wonder, are you really committed to being all in? Are you really committed to winning a championship if you're going to clear all this cap space, but you're not going to use it to try to fill these voids?
Well, I think Jerry got to stop making a mockery when he gets up there and talks. Like, it's evident that he is not focused on winning, because if he was, then you won't go up there and say that. And I don't believe, even though they just opened up $50 million plus in cap space, I don't believe they're going to sign anybody until I actually see it being done.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to sign Micah Parsons, and that's where a lot of this money is going to go, we would assume.
You need a baseline of money to be able to try to re-sign some of your own free agents, which they want to do, like Jordan Lewis, like Rico Dowdle, maybe DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons. You want to pay your own guys. You need money to pay your draft class. You need money to have flexibility. It's not like they're not going to spend in free agency, but it's not like they're going to jump into the market and all of a sudden sign 5 different players to premium prices. By restructuring these contracts, they've given themselves the flexibility that they need to address certain needs. This doesn't lead to some spending spree. That's not where they're going with this. This allows them the flexibility to do what they feel like they need to make sure that this roster is intact.
Well, I mean, that's basically what he said. We're going to sign our own guys, and their own guys were just basically a well below average NFL
That's what I'm saying. You went 7-10 last year with your own guys.
Yeah.
You don't
And
think
Dak
you
was
should be
hurt.
looking elsewhere to sign other players to come and help your football team?
Yeah, I mean,
that bothers me.
If there's evidence directly in their faces, in their own division, of how spending money works.
NFL Adam Schefter reports Seahawks Pro Bowl receiver DK Metcalf requesting a trade after 2 weeks of discussions with the team. He's averaged over 1,000 receiving yards in his 6 seasons in Seattle. The Seahawks already releasing Tyler Lockett, so that receiver room looking a little bit bare. For much more on this, let's bring in our NFL insider Dan Graziano and our 2-time Super Bowl champ Booger McFarland. I'll start with you, Dan. What are you hearing about which teams could be in the mix to trade for Metcalf?
Yeah, Elle, I feel like it's the same teams over the past year that have been looking for number one receivers. Remember, like when Brandon Ayuk was available last summer. Think about the Patriots. Think about the Steelers, the Broncos, the Ravens. DK Metcalf is a number one wide receiver who's 27 years old. He is different from the other wide receivers that are going to be on this market. He's younger than guys like Devontae Adams and Tyler Lockett and Christian Kirk. You know, he's bigger and stronger than really anyone that plays the wide receiver position in the history of the world. So he's going to have some appeal to teams that are looking for that anchor wide receiver for their wide receiver room, as opposed to the teams that are looking for a 2 or a 3 to complement the superstar.
I completely agree with you, Dan. And when you think about anchor wide receivers, you're talking about number one guys, and I like to pair them with young quarterbacks. How about Jordan Love with DK Metcalf in Green Bay? How about Michael Penix Jr. with DK Metcalf in Atlanta? I think wherever he goes, he's going to be looking for a new contract. I would love to pair him with a young quarterback. And to me, that's the best way you go about doing this. Just the way they did with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. You give your young quarterback a veteran wide receiver, somebody to throw the ball to, a bona fide number one. Green Bay and Atlanta, Dan, are the first 2 teams come to mind. I would love to see that fit.
Yeah, and you talk about a team like Atlanta that has some skill position players. Maybe they could send back towards Seattle to make that trade happen as well. Metcalf, by the way, coming off of a 66-catch, 992-yard, 5-touchdown season, missed 2 games with a knee injury. The Cowboys also, though, have some decisions they need to make, and they're getting in position. Todd Archer reports they restructured quarterback Dak Prescott's contract, created over $36 million in cap space. He was due to carry the biggest cap hit in the league at $89 million. The move comes after Dallas also restructured CeeDee Lamb's contract. In fact, if you take a look at the last couple of days, the boys have created about $56.6 million in cap room. Dallas had already inked star defensive tackle Osa Odigizua to a 4-year, $80 million deal, but still had decisions to make it running back and in both trenches. So, Dan, what areas are the Cowboys hoping they can address with this newfound cap space?
Yeah, the next free agent of their own that they're interested in trying to bring back is cornerback Jordan Lewis. And whether they bring him back or not, they're going to continue to look for upgrades and additions in their secondary on defense. This cap space was always going to be there. The Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb deals were built to be reconstructed this way in the second year. So they'll use the cap space to fortify on defense. They'll look to upgrade on the defensive line alongside Micah Parsons and also Odigizua, especially if they don't bring back DeMarcus Lawrence. And then on offense, they're looking for a number 2 wide receiver behind CeeDee Lamb and a dynamic playmaker, ideally at running back, to pair with Rico Dowdle, who they'd like to bring back. He was a good performer for them late in the year last year. So Dallas' plan doesn't really change because all of a sudden they found cap space. They always knew it was going to be there. Those are the areas they're looking to attack.
So let's add this up, Dan. They need a right guard because Zach Martin has retired. They need a running back because the running game was terrible. They need a secondary wide receiver, somebody to help CeeDee Lamb out. Defensive tackle, they need somebody to get bigger because Mozzie Smith has been a disappointment. Oh, by the way, DeMario Overshown is coming off a bad knee injury, so they need a linebacker. El, stop me when I run out of time, El, because they need a bunch of stuff. Overall, they need a talent upgrade so they can continue to free up money. But when are they going to free up and get some more talent? Dallas has to become a way more talented team.
You're right, though, but a lot of that, to Dan's point, does start with their running back. I mean, Rico Dowdle aside, they were 30th in the NFL in yards per rush attempt. They had 6 rushing scores last year, dead last in the league. That might be a good place to start. I'm just saying, along that laundry list of other things. Booger.